Tonight, the president's push to pass a nearly $2 trillion COVID relief bill.
Many economists agree with him and looks forward to working with Congress to do it.
What's included in the package and why some Republicans are pushing back. Plus, the controversy over a new Congresswoman now stripped of committee assignments over past statements.
They actually stripped my district of their voice.
The latest from the U.S. House of Representatives. And rollout rush as states race to get vaccines into the arms of people as soon as possible.
We recruited our pharmacies, our local health clinics. We absolutely put our National Guard right to work and everything.
How West Virginia is leading the way. All this and more tonight on Fake Nation.
Democrats push forward alone with their $1.9 trillion COVID relief plan. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Jenna Browder.
And good evening. I'm John Jessup. President Biden today making clear he will not budge on getting $1,400 stimulus checks to struggling Americans.
The line in the sand follows Congress's approval of a measure that allows Democrats to bypass the need for Republican support. The CBN White House correspondent Ben Kennedy joins us with tonight's top story. Ben?
Well, Jenna, John, now the House and Senate committees debate and discuss the $1.9 trillion package you guys were just discussing, but it could hit a bit of a delay in the Senate as they take up President Trump's impeachment trial.
On this vote, the yeas are 50, the nays are 50, the Senate being equally divided, the Vice President votes in the affirmative, and the concurrent resolution as amended is adopted.
The Vice President casting her first tie-breaking vote to push forward the latest round of COVID relief.
It's big and it's bold, and it's a real answer to the crisis we're in.
Both sides agree on more money for vaccines, testing, and help for small businesses. Then comes a split on the stimulus checks. The White House wants to send $1,400 directly to most Americans, while Republicans want $1,000 payment going to lower-income households.
They need the money, and they're going to get it. And here's what I won't do. I'm not cutting the size of the checks. They're going to be $1,400, period. That's what the American people were promised.
The GOP also wants the total package cut to $618 billion, a fraction of Biden's $1.9 trillion proposal.
It is, in my opinion, just a fiscal abomination. Did you know that there is still $1 trillion, according to the budget office, $1 trillion that hasn't been spent from the last bills? You know, they can't even spend, these agencies can't spend the money as fast as Congress and the Democrats and oftentimes Republicans are appropriating the money.
With razor-thin control in the Senate, Democrats need full party support, which means convincing their moderate senators like West Virginia's Joe Manchin and Arizona's Kyrsten Sinema, who prefer a more bipartisan approach.
But in the end, it feels like this is going to be past the larger bill with reconciliation now that West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin has basically said that he's not going to, he doesn't want to see it stall.
Now, the goal for Democrats is to approve COVID relief by the end of the month. On March 13th, unemployment help does expire, and this bill would extend that until the end of September. John, Jenna?
Thank you, Ben Kennedy. Well, on the jobs front, the Labor Department reports some growth in January. New figures out today show the United States added 49,000 jobs last month. Overall, unemployment also went down, now at 6.3%. Just under 10 million Americans remain out of work. That's still an unprecedented high. The Labor Department says this time last year, before the pandemic shut down the country, unemployment was only at 3.5%.
And here with us now, Mark Hamrick, Washington Bureau Chief and Senior Economic Analyst at Bankrate.com. Mark, happy Friday. It's good to see you.
Always great to be with you.
So with so many jobs lost in this pandemic, is a gain of 49,000 significant at all?
Well, it is to the 49,000 individuals who got those jobs, but we're basically at least 10 million jobs below where we need to be to get back all those people on the employment roles, and there's roughly another 13 million who have either left the labor force, aren't looking for work, or are underemployed or working part-time, would like to have full-time work. So obviously then you're getting well above 20 million. So we need to do a lot better than basically 50,000 a month. And I expect that will be the case in the coming months as we make more progress against the pandemic, the cause of the economic downturn.
You know, with this COVID relief bill, let's talk about that a little bit. One sticking point is raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Mark, what do you think that would do for the economy?
Well, as far as I can tell, I think that is probably dead for this part of the consideration of that proposal. I think that's going to be extracted, and if it's dealt with later, it will be. There are mixed impacts from that. First of all, there is the risk that some businesses will either not hire or will not hire as much as they would. And we saw just in the past week in Long Beach, California, where 2 grocery stores decided to close rather than to give mandatory raises to workers. The other part of that is if people are able to afford it and pass those pay raises along, then obviously that's a better income for those workers and that money gets spent.
Mark, finally, many Americans are suffering right now. You mentioned about that roughly 20 million mark. I know Bankrate has looked at this issue. How badly are stimulus checks needed?
Well, just about the majority of individuals that we asked recently about their anticipation of getting the last round of $600 stimulus payments, the majority of those indicated that won't last them more than a month. And so, John, we've talked other times about other survey work that we've done, and we just refreshed this one, where fewer than 4 out of 10 Americans can pay an emergency expense of $1,000 or more from savings. So there is a high degree of what we call financial fragility among Americans, and an economic downturn like this one only makes that worse. So this is why I think there is common ground between Republicans and Democrats that something needs to be done, but the details of that, stay tuned.
Well, Mark, as always, we appreciate your help in breaking everything down for us. Mark Hamrick with Bankrate, thanks for your time.
Thanks, Mark.
Great to be with you. Thank you.
Well, Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene is speaking out after fellow House members voted to strip her of her committee assignments. The backlash comes after concerns were raised over some of Greene's past comments, like openly endorsing conspiracy theories and QAnon beliefs. She says the House vote to remove her from the Committee on Education and Labor and the Budget Committee hurts her constituents the most.
They stripped my voters of having representation to work for them for the budget. A successful business owner that knows how to make a profit, not a loss. That's what my district voted for me for.
11 Republicans joined more than 200 Democratic colleagues in removing Greene from her committee roles.
And joining us now for more, Julia Manchester, political reporter with The Hill, and CBN chief political analyst David Brody. Welcome to both of you. Julia, to you first. That vote stripping Georgia's Marjorie Taylor Greene of her committee seats, both on the Budget and Education Committee, sets a new precedent. Do you think this is something that we could see more often, or is this perhaps a one-off?
I think we see these votes, and you saw it with Steve King a couple of years ago, that congressman from Iowa who said very bigoted and racist things as well in the past. I think Democrats say, look, we are going to save it for instances like this, but Republicans, including Liz Cheney, who faced her own moment of reckoning, I think this week when Republicans voted to keep her as the number 3 in charge of the House GOP caucus, voted to really say, no, we can't go ahead with this precedent. We'll see how that goes, but I think Marjorie Taylor Greene in particular is such a blatant example, really, of someone who is very extreme, and really a lot of Democrats, and you saw 11 Republicans, feel like there needs to a check to be put on her. That being said, it's interesting that so many Republicans voted to keep Liz Cheney at the top of the House leadership. However, and that was a private vote. However, this was a public vote. So I'm wondering if this were a secret ballot, how many of these Republicans would vote to strip Marjorie Taylor Greene of her committee assignments as well?
David, your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, look, what Marjorie Taylor Greene did, obviously, she disavowed those past statements. And here we are. And, I think it's going to go down as just the first in what we're about to see many different votes on this issue as it relates to Democrats. Not just starting to strip Republicans, but Republicans will start to strip Democrats of committees. I mean, about payback in Washington. It goes both ways. And I think that's what we're going to see if Republicans ever gain the House. So I don't think there's any question about it that, it's really sad. I mean, Democrats and Biden talked about unity, and then they do this, and they're going to shove a COVID-19 stimulus bill, most likely down the passageway here with just Democrat votes. So I'm not quite sure I'm understanding the unity part of what they're talking about.
To your point, David, it looks like that they will use budget reconciliation, Democrats will, to pass this $1.9 trillion coronavirus relief plan. If both sides can't agree on something like this, does that leave a lot of hope for other areas where there could be compromise? David?
No, there's not. I don't think there's much hope, honestly, in terms of legislative accomplishments. Maybe something on infrastructure, but the tone, the precedent is set here at the beginning. I mean, if Democrats are going to play hardball right at the top when you're supposed to have a unity, well, then what does that mean for the future? It doesn't look good right now.
Last question for both of you. This week, we learned former Vice President Mike Pence will be joining the conservative-leaning Heritage Foundation, and he's starting his own podcast. What do you think the signals for a possible 2024 run? To you, Julia, first.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely a strong signal of a possible 2024 run. I think he is definitely trying to get a message out there and to really entrench himself in a part of the conservative movement. That being said, I think it depends what direction the Republican Party goes for. I will say this: I don't think the relationship, understandably, between Vice President Pence and President Trump is in any good graces right now. And obviously, President Trump still has a hold on that party. So we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah. David, do you think we could see both Pence and Trump in a 2024 GOP primary?
Boy, that would be sure interesting. It could happen, possibly. I know Mike Pence really looks that. I know he wants to run. I think the question is the terrain going to be right in 4 years? So we'll wait and see.
All right, we will wait and see. Julia and David, it's always good to have you with us. Thank you both. Happy Friday.
Thanks, guys. Coming up, accelerating the vaccination rollout, the rush to get shots into the arms of Americans.
Come home to the sounds of Southern Gospel from CBN Radio. You'll enjoy a rich Southern blend of bluegrass, classic gospel, and Southern gospel favorites like the Gaithers, the Crabb Family, and bluegrass sounds like Mountain Faith. So make yourself at home with the all-new CBN Southern Gospel. Now available at cbnradio.com.
It's about the competition.
I kind of put that pressure on myself, and I think people had expectations.
It's about overcoming.
We use this phrase all the time: keep chopping, keep practicing hard.
It's about going the distance.
I think as a father, it's my job, to lead. Just be the best husband and father I can be.
Watch Going the Distance with Sean Brown Saturday night at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
And welcome back. Johnson & Johnson is seeking FDA emergency approval of its new coronavirus vaccine. Unlike the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines, Johnson & Johnson's only requires one shot. Data from the company shows it's about 66% effective globally, lower than the already approved vaccines, but an amount many infectious disease experts say still helps in the overall fight against the virus. It is, however, highly effective in preventing severe disease and hospitalizations. FDA approval could come in early March.
Dr. Danny Avula was appointed by Governor Ralph Northam to lead Virginia's vaccination program, and he joins us now to discuss. Dr. Avula, thank you for being with us. The Commonwealth has a goal of 50,000 vaccinations a day. 50,000 vaccinations a day in your state. Are you meeting that goal, Dr. Avula, and what are some of the challenges you're running up against?
Well, we have met that goal. When you look at the last 4 days in January, you'll see that we've vaccinated between 49 and 51,000 people per day for that 4-day stretch. So we absolutely have the capacity to deliver 50,000 doses per day across the state. The biggest obstacle is that we don't have enough supply coming in each week. Right now, we're getting about 120,000 new doses for the entire state per week. But to get to that sustained 50,000 dose a day goal, which we need to get Virginia vaccinated by the summer, we're going to need more like 350,000 doses a week. Mm-hmm. So we've built the infrastructure, we have the channels to deliver vaccine, but we're going to need more supply.
Have you noticed a difference with this new administration, and are they prepared to give you those vaccines that are needed?
Well, we've definitely seen an increase over the last couple of weeks. We were getting about 105,000 doses a week. Immediately the first week, we got a 16% increase. We're expecting another 3 to 5% increase this following week. We've also seen the opportunity to pull down vaccine from other channels with the federal government. So this week, we activated what's called Part 2 of the Federal Pharmacy Partnership, which allows a different store of vaccine to be released into Virginia. So we'll have about 26,000 doses coming through CVS. Over time, other pharmacies will get phased into that. And so we are trying every way we can to bring more vaccine into Virginia.
And we know there's a priority for getting people over the age of 65 and essential workers vaccinated. When do you anticipate your average, healthy 35-year-old will be able to get a vaccine too?
I think we are several months away from that, Jenna. Right now, phase 1A and 1B all across Virginia constitutes about 50% of our population. And so those individuals who are 65 and over, and then those who fulfill some of those most essential worker categories, are police and firemen, our teachers and childcare workers, those who work on the front lines in transit or in grocery stores. That's a large portion of our state. And if supply stays where it is, we're probably talking 2 to 3 months before we get through phase 1B.
There's a lot of different opinions and strong opinions in all sorts of different directions. But once people are vaccinated, should they still be taking precautions like wearing a mask, social distancing? What's your thought on that?
Yeah, at this point, yes. We know that the vaccine is incredibly effective at preventing the disease, preventing severe consequences of the disease. What we're not sure about yet is, can you still be a carrier and transmit the disease? So as we gather more data and better understand just how effective these vaccines are against transmission, we're asking that everybody who get vaccinated continue to wear your mask, continue to socially distance until we have that data together and can update the guidelines.
So hospitalizations are dropping across the country, but the death rate is still high. With multiple vaccines now in play, do you see a light at the end of this tunnel, Dr. Avula?
Absolutely. I mean, for the first time over the last 10, 11 months, we see a way out of this. We know that if we can get 75 to 80% of our population vaccinated, we'll hit a degree of herd immunity, and that's going to stop the transmission of COVID. And so I think all of us are desperate to move on, and we really encourage everybody to get vaccinated so that we can hit that goal and enter the next phase of our life together.
Dr. Danny Avula heads up Virginia's vaccine program. Dr. Avula, thank you so much for joining us.
Great interview. West Virginia, more than country roads. Why and how it's become the standard bearer when it comes to vaccinating the public. That and more when Faith Nation returns.
Too often we carry baggage from our past. You know what it's like. It affects everything and everyone in our lives. It's always there, weighing us down and keeping us from achieving true happiness. But do you know God never meant for us to be trapped in the past? You can be free of your baggage. Learn how God's forgiveness leads to changed lives and new beginnings. Call the 700 Club.
I'm Ephraim Graham, and this is Studio 5. Cruise with me as I discover the good things happening in the world of music, sports, television, and movies.
The fact that Ryan Coogler was going to be directing the film, I knew that something special was going to happen.
We'll chat with artists at the forefront of entertainment and explore the connection between popular culture and faith.
I asked my pastor, I said, well, does that mean I'm supposed to be a preacher? He says, well, no, you already have a pulpit.
Watch Studio 5, Wednesday night at 9:30.
Tikkun Olam.
This is our nature as a country.
To make the world a better place.
Literally, we felt the earth shaking.
The Christian Broadcasting Network presents To Life, how Israeli volunteers are changing the world.
This film needs to be seen by everyone.
I was in tears.
Now you can own the inspiring documentary To Life on DVD.
There is blood on our hands if we know and we walk away.
I'm so grateful that this film was made.
To Life can be yours for a gift of $10 or more. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to cbn.com.
We know that every minute counts to save life.
It'll bless Israel, but it'll also bless all the friends of Israel.
Discover the untold story of how Israeli volunteers are making the world a better place. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to cbn.com to get your copy today.
Experience the excitement of the 2021 Super Bowl breakfast.
Get ready.
Featuring NFL legends Tony Dungy, Anthony Munoz, Benjamin Watson, and more.
You know, I just closed my eyes and said a Hail Mary.
Along with the presentation of the prestigious Bart Starr Award. It's an hour of great stories you won't want to miss. Saturday, February 6th at 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. And Sunday before the big game at 2:30 p.m. Eastern on the CBN News Channel.
Welcome back. So what does it take to vaccinate more people per capita than any other state? Common sense and prayer, according to West Virginia Governor Jim Justice.
That's right, Jenna. His state leads the country in the COVID vaccine rollout. CBN's Wendy Griffith talked with Governor Justice to find out what he's doing.
West Virginia is often last when it comes to national trends, but not this time. The Mountain State is credited with leading the country when it comes to the COVID vaccine rollout. And no one could be happier than West Virginia Governor Jim Justice.
Well, it does make me feel good. I mean, there's no question about this.
Governor Justice says a big factor in their success, not going with a federal plan to send the vaccine to big pharmacies like CVS and Walgreens. Instead, they stayed local, partnering with mom-and-pop pharmacies.
We recruited our pharmacies, our local health clinics. We absolutely put our National Guard right to work and everything. We took this to the people because the people are used to going to certain places and everything. And with all that, we started putting shots in people's arms, and that's why we've led the way.
Pharmacist Heidi Romero says West Virginia was ready.
They developed a team of people to begin working on the distribution process before the vaccines were even approved. And they enlisted every willing pharmacy, and it's just been a very cooperative effort between the state level, the pharmacies, the health departments. Everybody has put forth their best effort to make sure that the vaccines have rolled out as quickly as possible.
Now, you are a third-generation pharmacist in Canova, West Virginia. You work alongside your father. How does it feel to be the heroes right now in this pandemic?
It's honestly very humbling to be part of this process. We're just glad to be able to help in any way that we can. And the connection that we all have to our communities, it's made a big difference with feeling like you're finally able to do something to help the people that you know and care about.
In a different ranking, you may recall, West Virginia became the very last state to report a positive COVID case last March. Now it's hailed as a model when it comes to getting residents vaccinated, next to only North Dakota. The two states in a virtual tie, with both administering 81% of available vaccines. Governor Justice says it's not rocket science.
It's just simply good, sound thinking and then having the guts to move and to get it done.
Something else may have helped pave the way for their success. They prayed. The governor proclaimed March 25th of last year a statewide day of prayer.
But Father, I pray for all of us in our great state that you will intervene now and hear our words, as I know you will, and some way, somehow intervene to stop this terrible virus.
The governor says although they've seen their share of tragedy and loss of life, he knows God has been with them through it all. Wendy Griffith, CBN News.
Thanks, Wendy. And coming up, see Spot run and do a whole lot more. The robot that is making waves.
It's the new Superbook Bible app. It's packed with games, activities, and Superbook episodes that you can watch for free. Oh, no! There's trivia, a fun daily devotional, and answers to your Bible questions. Plus, an easy-to-understand Bible the whole family will enjoy. You can even create your own Superbook character. Ta-da! It's the new Superbook Bible app. Free downloads on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon.
On the home front.
Thanks for joining us for CBN's On the Home Front, where we highlight what the men and women of America's military do to defend our country. CBN honors the men and women in our military with an initiative called Helping the Home Front. It partners with churches across the country to meet the needs of their military families, from repairing homes to wiping out medical bills for wounded veterans.
Watch On the Home Front today at 2:30. Get Protect Your Sleep and discover how to improve the quality of your life. A free DVD or booklet from the Christian Broadcasting Network.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
5 leading experts help remove the obstacles between you and restorative sleep.
When you don't get a restful night's sleep, you wake up with an accumulation of stress.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com to get your free DVD or booklet today.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
You'll discover how food affects your sleep, how to put insomnia to rest, explore effective remedies for sleep apnea, and much more in Protect Your Sleep. Wake up to your best life and get Protect Your Sleep today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com to get your free DVD or booklet.
Finally tonight, robots are becoming increasingly more advanced, and a new technology is proving just that.
Jenna, it's called Spot, and the things it can do are pretty incredible. The Boston Dynamics creation just got an updated arm attachment that allows it to do all sorts of things, from cleaning up the house to opening doors and flipping on light switches. The Boston Dynamics team even taught a group of Spot bots how to jump rope. Look at that. So if you're in the market for a highly functional robot, they are for sale. You can pick one up for a mere $75,000. Jenna, you think you and your hubby might invest in a Spot bot?
And we'll save up for that one. A family pet, right?
Smart.
All right, everybody, that is going to do it for Faith Nation.
Have a great weekend and enjoy the football game.